Welcome to Dare Guru. Akomana ne askana. Aiwa. Nyanza nasika. Tunomboya sonzwisisa guys. Kuti kana mshiti tisataure, mshiti tisataurise, seshedzere kana kuti pane zvatakufana kutaura zvakufana kusefa. Okay. I mean, ndikushaya kutangira. But well, today we're joined by LIAM KANHENGA. Guys, this guy, I mean, why are you so serious? Not serious.
Chichuru serious.
Yeah, we have our human rights activist right here. Is a public, intellectual, and human rights activist. Guys. So today we're going to be talking about the patriotic bill. Hey, Liam. What's up? How are you?
I'm okay. I need a moment to laugh. I don't know, it's fine.
No, you're not too. It's fine. But you never talk about it.
I
Okay. Let's get into the interview. So, okay, frankly speaking, what really inspired this patriotic bill?
Well, it's two things. One, it's politics. The second thing is regime survival. Regime survival, we are talking about the need for a political party, in this particular case, ZANU-PF, which is the ruling party in Zimbabwe, to continue its rule in the country, right? And so it imposes laws that actually stifle or that close down room for dissent, or that close down room for opposing conversations.
Okay.
And then when we look at politics, it's all about power. Politics is a struggle for power.
Okay.
And the patriotic bill is extremely partisan. Even its inspirating law, which is the Patriotic Act in the United States of America itself, is partisan. I think it's a conversation we'll get down into as we proceed about its history, and then also measuring with Zimbabwe now. But you'd see that the use is similar.
Okay.
It's all politics, it's all about regime survival.
All right. Vanongora kasha staridu tiri kunzoku totongovaregerera akomana ini nangu I feel kunge at some point I feel kuti chero yedu maybe unwillingly togotaura like current situation in Zimbabwe. Asi munhu wese ari kufara neZimbabwe, you get. So when you're out there, unogona kutongobvunzwa and utongobuditsa zvinhu. Usingazono, there are people who care. You know, there unogona kutongoudza mai pa next door kuti murume wangu akutondidhinda next door. And it's mai pa next door totora action, wototanga kutokanda fire. Azvisa zvukuzvu zvokuzotiunzira masanction iri amakasi.
No, but Thulani, I need a moment to laugh. You know what? It's unintelligent for anyone to assume that human beings exercising their rights can therefore direct the foreign policy of a sovereign nation. In North America, especially that of a superpower. Kutotoyo Thulani yo zvitozvi express yo chiti ndotaura chokwadi chiri pamoyo pangu pamusoro pemamiriro akata nyika ino pamusoro pezvandofunga pakuti nyika iende yairi zvairi andika obva wanziwe watoita kuti United States itoita a foreign policy yekuti no takuda kutoisa masanctions Zimbabwe. No, there is a bigger conversation to that, and it's unfair for whoever peddles such a narrative. Andika kuti vataure kuti free speech itself is the reason why we have sanctions. And two, ndirakidze munhu one kunze kwa Edson Jobo akaenda on international fora and deliberately said isaima sanctions pamusoro penyika ino yatiri kugara. And panguva iyo yange tori nguva yehondo against Smith regime wachiti isaima sanctions kuti Smith regime ifile pressure kuti zvavari kuita zviri wrong. So at the end of the day futi ndivo vakaseta president, but no one has willfully lobbied sanctions, and no one will ever willfully lobby for sanctions. Even if chero vachiclaima kuti anzi opposition party yakanokumbira masanctions, ndepapi pane umbowo Thulani?
But okay, on that one, I think umbowo uripo, there's a video of a certain late leader who once got Papa A and said, what. They contributed at some point.
Okay, but
I just squeeze fully on them, but
all right, that tells you guys so Thulani. Todzanzi vari kutisungira izvinhu saka sunga izvinhu Zimbabwe yakasaina inonzi ICCPR, inonzi the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights.
Okay.
Zimbabwe yakasaina Universal Declaration of Rights. Zimbabwe signed inonzi the Maputo Protocol.
Okay.
Yakasaina the Banjul Declaration. SAI, they are on human and people's rights.
Mokubata here naimi inini zvichazondiwandira ndizvichadza kunyasonzwisa.
Anditika SAI zvinopa obligation kuZimbabwe. Zvinotipa isusu chitambo chokuti no, we have to follow them.
Yeah.
And one of the most important things that it also speaks on is the right to participation, freedom of participation in politics, freedom of association, and even the freedom to free speech, free press, and free expression.
Okay.
Without cohesion and freedom of conscience as well. We are signatories to these things, and these things don't constitute the body of international law.
Okay.
And it is. So international law yasiyana ne municipal law kana kuti mtemo wemunyika. Uyu mtemo wenyika dzose. Unoshanda nekuti no hakuna police station yenyika dzese anditi. Saka isoti kana nyika 1 yachikora mtemo pane way yaanopanishwa nayo.
Yeah.
That is by being held accountable. And also there is no clear way of how. You understand? How do you hold the country accountable? So sometimes it might be out of the activism of neighboring countries or out of the activism of other progressive countries, which is why USH is where there's another conversation about it, imperialism, but we are also trying to say, no, but this is how also Zimbabwe, at its best right now, is being held accountable for going against the Shinjaika sign.
All right.
So iwe kanataka wirirana senharaunda kuti munharaunda medu hamubiwe. Hamurayana, hamutukana, yobva waendotanga kusvita vana vako. Handati isusu senharaunda hatichadi kukupai mari, hatichadi kutengesera zvinhu zvenyu, hatichatenga futi zvinhu zvenyu because imi muri kutyora mutemo munharaunda. Handiti ndakanganisa?
Hauna kukanganisa.
Tombotora kuti ndine mari yakawanda kudarika imi. Sina ndati vese vachiroda kukwereteswa mari neni. Musatenge zvinhu zvauzvo. Kusvikira ita munhu kwaye tobva tadzoka ndika fine tanzwisisa kuti akushandisa mari yake but iwewe uri kuchikwerera mutemo wemunharaunda.
Okay.
You see, it's the same thing with the sanctions discourse in the Patriotic Act. So sometimes it's not necessarily about what private citizens are doing or saying about the country. It's about what the state itself is doing. Because tell me, that bill is vague. What speech amounts to attracting sanctions? And what is it that damages the reputation of the country, or damages the image of the country, than corruption?
Okay.
And also, it's not politics.
Okay.
There is nothing that the bill tries to solve besides bringing more chaos. And the opposition is partially complicit, but last year, talking about by-elections on the anniversary sanctions, opposition leader Chamisa, I would single him out as Chamisa, and even other opposition leaders like Analinda Masara, they gave positions on sanctions. Chamisa got sanctions must go yesterday. I just Analinda Masara got no sanctions have ruined and hurt our country. So Toramba erectisa mtemo wakadaro.
Okay.
Plus yo unga isiro mtemo kutude nyika yako.
Aiwa hakuna.
Spokesperson wehurumende nhasi.
Hakuna.
Pane video yavo kutendera Twitter. Yanga achitaura kuti we've put that law in place so that Zimbabweans will get to love their country. But
okay. Tiri papo kundisungirira kuti ndisataure zvandiri kufila ndiri out there. Hakusi kutochikorawo kodzero dzangu here.
Exactly. Ndozvatiri kutaura kuti because it does not give a clear-cut definition on the difference between free speech and that which damages the reputation of the country, that which attracts sanctions. But still, chero kune vanhu vanoda ma-sanctions, and the sanctions have a political economic effect that hurts us all. And it's out of the current geopolitical state in Uganda. Right now, we know that the use of sanctions is very unfair in third world developing countries. But also, do you then muzzle that person? You understand? Zvakafanira munhu anoti isusu toda kuti kuitwe hondo
And akutoida
boss ari kuti ini ndokuti hondo ichinje utungamiri hwenyika ino boss tikuona kuti ma-elections asi kushanda. You understand? I'm not saying kuti hondo iri but munhu yemomusungira murder. Can you arrest that person for murder?
But anyway, you know what, on that one inini ndokufila kuti as much as we don't want to hondo and we cannot sungira that person murder, akuedza kuti nyika ite sei. You know, there are better ways to talk about an issue and solve things. So I think matauriro asho.
But ndapi matauriro kwawo. Alright. Respectfully, I believe that there should be a social uprising to agitate for democratic change in this country. I honestly think that elections have failed us. We should just take it to the streets and force this government out. Tatara chinowana.
But Tora umushe.
Tora umushe ndekupi.
Ungati kuna baba schools.
Baba schools, Vibe Road. Hati munu we, wanafara road. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that the patriotic bill does not only center around issues of sanctions. I think sanctions are not the only challenge, political challenge that we have in terms of our foreign policy.
Which is true.
And they're not the only global political challenge we face. And I think also because we have those challenges, we then don't have the right to try and solve them or maneuver around them by then oppressing our own people. Saka ipapo ndo panotaura dare rechimurenga rinenge rabvisirwa choto. You understand? Because I think part of the gains, like part of the goals of the liberation struggle was one, the freedom of our own people, the freedom for them to participate in politics without fear of repulsion or repression. But kana makuunza mtemo uyu unoratidza kuti vanhu vataure zvavanofunga nekuti vawirira nevanhu vanoda kuwirira navo. It's wrong. But there is also a technical aspect to it, but I think tichazopinda after my head. So I know that the patriotic bill again, wrong.
Okay. Today on that, the freedom of speech and what? If I'm not mistaken, it's what, chapter 4, section 61?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think Tikataura more about what really does the Constitution say, the Constitution of Zimbabwe say with regards to the freedom of expression. Linking this topic, your patriotic bill.
Free expression entails, like I told you, the space for you to communicate ideas, your views, and even consume them without fear of repulsion or repression, without fear of retribution, either from the state or other individuals. But when a law that comes and brings a nature or a characterization of repulsion, therefore that law is a violation to that right. And after all, remember that chivura constitution and this constitution is the supreme law of the land. Any law that is inconsistent or practice that is inconsistent to this constitution is ultra vires and invalid to the level of its inconsistency. But a patriotic bill, no matter the noble intention or no matter the perceived to be intention, and regender against a dictate, the Declaration of Rights within the Constitution, and Sakarato inconsistent. Saka is invalid. So why do we need it? From a legal perspective, I'm not a lawyer, but from a legal perspective, and it's an invalid law. It's a case at politics, democratic backsliding, where we use democratic systems, democratic processes to enforce undemocratic laws and undemocratic practices, like trying to legislate patriotism, to legislate love for one's country. No, love for one's country comes by having confidence, by having positive views towards the status quo in that country, by being satisfied. And sometimes it doesn't mean that if people are dissatisfied, they don't love their country. Because there's a statement, the Spanish revolutionaries are not, no, I love my country, but I'm ashamed of my government. So also the conversation therefore comes, Kuti, let's be able to separate the government from the country, or the government from the nation. And the Papa said, Urumende inotumira masoja kuti ipfure vanhu yakaita muramba tsvina. Handiti hurumende yakaita gukuraundi. Hurumende inonzi yakatsakatisa itai dzamara. Handiti hurumende yokuti izvezvi inonongedzwa umbavha huzhinji. Handiti iyo hurumende yekuti tingarambe tichitaura zvakanaka pamusoro payo. Because your actions speak for you. Andika saka ihurumende yatingada and obva wati because vanhu varikutaura chokwadi pamusoro pazvo vachiburitsa umbavha hwenyu neutsinye neumhondo ruitika munyika mamati aiwa vanhu havadi nyika yavo. No, havadi hurumende yavo iri kuvashungurudza. But kuti havadi nyika yavo because dai vanga vasingadi nyika yavo dai vanga vasitaura chokwadi. Saka imi mukabva maisa mutemo kuti vasataure zvinhu izvozvo nokuti zvinoita kuti imi murangwe nedzimwe nyika. Aiwa, it's a problem. Haungati hanzi vana vangu musataure zvandokuita imba nokuti muchata ndirohwe navamwe kubava.
But unotikwadzisa.
Aiwa, but iwo usarohweka vamwe. Usarohwe vana vako. Usarohwe vana vako. Kana uda kufunga kuda kuita baba bhinya, ita make sure unorohwa raini rese.
Okay.
So it's also a matter of Zimbabwe understanding where it fits also in the global political conversation and where Zimbabwe also should understand the interlink between its foreign policy and its domestic policy, and speaking on how it governs its people and how it interacts with other nations. On a principle level, very few countries would want to associate with us on that basis. But let's have a sober conversation about it. Yes, sanctions are bad, but I don't think we deal with sanctions by imposing legislation that limits the rights and freedoms of our people.
Okay. Let's talk about it. Like, let's talk about everything.
Yeah.
Chinyasoti jekesa ikuti pa patriotic biwa. Chamuru kuramba chi.
Alright.
Uya chichati vhiringidzira chi. Ende chimwe chakanakira. You know, apana chinhu chekuti chimwe chingazongoshata from
Alright. Kunaka Thulani.
I think atende pakunaka. Yokutongoshatigwa. Nezvose.
Inini unogona kundudza kuti hanzi tii inonaka nokuti ine shuga but noona kuzoti inotapirisa. Saka hakusi kunaka ikoko.
Chitudza.
Saka ichandoda kuti it's good to have a national security policy, and I'm sure there are national security laws. And there are laws already, especially in terms of like peddling false information, even disorder and disharmony. And we even have laws that try treason for people that try to unconstitutionally remove a government. Tinao ma laws acho kudhara, Criminal Law Codification and Reform Act, iripo and inazo zvinhu zvainotaura.
Okay.
And even issues the public violence section 137 and the peace and bigotry regulations zviripo. But I don't think we need to go then to this unnecessarily extra mile with putting a patriotic law.
Okay.
And it's good to enforce the law and ensure that there is no one who tries to unconstitutionally take power, which is why opposition parties go to elections.
Okay.
And patriotic bill rakashata. Then the other thing it's vague. It's a vague bill because some of the things it says things that constitute bringing sanctions on the country. You know, for example, like I said, the situation in Zimbabwe right now, especially when it comes to issue like democratic principles, our country has been backsliding on them. We've had the most beautiful constitution, it has been termed as one of the best legal frameworks in our country, but here we are today reversing them one by one. And sometimes when you say those things, it might attract international hostilities because remember, politics is an arena driven by perceptions, persuasions, as well as opinions. And if a country takes a perception that is against you, it can take a political or diplomatic action against you or towards you, which might also lead to maybe catastrophic conditions. Like, for example, sanctions. The EU sanctioned us, the United States of America sanctioned us because even not from a principle level, they can't see democracy crumble globally. Whether or not they are right, it's none of our business because they are also sovereign nations, as we claim to be. You see, they are sovereign nations, so they are taking a sovereign decision. So it's also, let's look at ourselves as a sovereign nation, that in conserving our sovereign power and right to self-determination, are we moving in the right direction in terms of enhancing and upholding the dignity of our people? And by vague laws, the principal standard of every law is that it should be clear. But the patriotic bill, in fact, the Criminal Law Codification Act amendment itself is not clear because when it says putting your country's name to disrepute, how? It does not give a definition of it, like there is no definition of terms of what are such actions, or negotiating with foreign agencies.
I think what is a pauno sheet.
Which is wrong. That's why laws exist. That's why they are put in a document so that people can access them and read them. Not put they should be vaguely put to be redefined and misdefined when it suits the one enforcing them. It's wrong. Because what right, toti isusu sedare guru kuda kunotaura ne Swedish embassy kuti tiite zvinhu zvekuti ti combat GBV. And it times we are negotiating with foreign agencies. But for what cause? But it's also for a good cause. So negotiating with foreign agencies should not be a demonized issue. So you see, laws cannot be put in retrospect, and laws cannot be put in anticipation of a linear opinion. But not to the free speech paper and it. Atiskuti anotuka munhu, ane right kutuka munhu. And but kana ane an opinion against someone, they can express it. And once they do harm, they are held accountable by the law. And perhaps exercising your rights should not be a harm to another person's rights. Except so your right to free speech cannot be a violation to my security. It cannot be a violation to my dignity and mental health. Which is why everyone don't harass people. You see, kunema harassment laws. And your right to, your conjugal rights cannot then lead to sexual harassment. You see? And it's really clear. And sexual harassment is even defined. And we have to consult cater for men. And because at the definition level, it assumes that men cannot be sexually harassed. And then it was changed. So the same thing with the Patriotic Act, because there is a pattern of precedence to measure this Patriotic Act. And good to know. So what does it define as such actions that lead to this? And panye kuti vanhu zidanzi unogona kutonzi wewe citizenship yako no revoke. One of the most primary rights arimo no Universal Declaration of Rights is the right to statehood. Statelessness is a violation of human rights. And so wewe citizenship ukaitorerwa wakazvarwa muno, you violated your right. And we've exposed you to danger. That's wrong.
Okay.
You see, that's wrong. So we are backsliding on combating statelessness. Right now, tutanyema refugees, tutanyema nasema birth certificate, tutaze. Imoda kuwawedzera futhi.
Okay.
You see, so there are a lot of unprincipled anticipations that come with this law, which are very wrong. You see, even here, munhu anoenda kujeri for almost 5 years and stuff. What if they are wrongly convicted? They are going to find a death penalty, Can you reverse it after Manada? So, can you matter citizenship? Maybe matadza kubatanya. What will happen? Even in America, that law has not been used to convict anyone on the same basis that it goes against the Declaration of Rights. That's why it is termed the paper tiger that never dared to bite. But zvinoita sokunge pamwe vamwedu vanotogadzira mutemo havaravi. You see, it's a platform for democratic backsliding. I'm not just looking at opposition parties or what. Even if iyo hurumende bato riri kutungamirira hurumende izvi zvirikabuda handiti pakapinda rimwe bato riri kupikisa izvezvi bato iroro rikatanga kuitawo ma-dictatorial tendencies handiti they have the right to then call it out, but imagine if such a law is used against them as well. So we cannot have a single linear conversation about it, but let's look at it from both sides, and which is something I feel like right now the ruling party in a 2/3 majority in parliament, they are failing to see.
Okay, so right here I'm with LIAM KANHENGA. Tichimbo bata patriotic bill. I think, as you all know, inini ndino mirira mama zangu mavenda nenewa vasinoenda kuchikora singanya so wisise chirungu sterek. LIAM nasandikacha nacho nanokupesino okay. Dawa ndikacha nacho nasi. Iwe. Saka LIAM yake sterek is on the patriotic bill and the constitution. Kuti azvisi kupindirana nanti zviri kusvika zvinokrasha ma constitutional rights atinawe isu sevanhu ma human rights edu isu sevanhu. Okay, saka my last question to you, LIAM. Ndanyebera Ando uchidairira pandataura paya kuti zviri kucontradict.
Ndati ndizvo. Hunde Thulani.
My last question to you, Liam, is saka tichaita sei?
Tine zvinhu zvakawanda zvatinokwanisa kuita. One, pane inonzi public interest litigation. Kataura public interest litigation tiri kuti handei tinoshandisa matare emutemo and ndingatedze mhosva because criminal courts are not the ones with like it's not the province of criminal courts to shoot down legislation if it violates human rights. Tine Supreme Court ne Constitutional Court. We even have the High Court. So isu ngatiende tinoshandisa matare emutemo handiti kuti tione kuti mutemo uyu wabviswa kana kuti wagadziriswa kuti upinde mumwero wekuti haumbunyikidzwe kana kutadzisa kodzero dzevanhu uye hauzokonzerese kuti vanhu vatongwe nemhosva dzisinganzwisike kana kuti dzisingatsanangurike zvatataura zvevagueness zvaizvo. And at the same time also as thinkers, I'll speak to my fellow thinkers, be it in politics, in the field of law. Right now, let's extensively write and communicate or even engage to the lawmakers at standard level how this law is futile. Let's also try and lead them by persuasion. At a standard principle, but which is the wrong direction. Then the second thing is we need a proactive civil society to consider at expected but to consistently keep this conversation alive so that enough pressure will be piled. And we are not going towards elections. There is a possibility that there might be a new government. Let's also be vigilant enough to ensure that at is over nokuti kwa ya mainini mumba tobadati saka zvizvo kumashure zvanaka kana tashikangana. No, let's be also proactive in holding them accountable in reversing platforms of democratic backsliding, because Pandiri, it's about keeping our democracy alive. How do you keep it alive? By not amputating the constitution. Saka tukufana ndo zvinhu zvatinofana kuita. Then zvimwe zvacho kana zvazorambisisa zvizvanataura izvi nona Samora Machel, Nelson Mandela, Robert Mugabe anonzi machi
marodi.
No, munozvitaura pa social media state hanzi ndiri kupisa machi
streets.
Exactly.
Streets
I think that will be the last resort. Because inonzi debate, dialogue, then demonstrate. Saka it's a revolutionary path.
I don't know if Liam arikuda kuti titese azizoti unoda kuti tite projects
kana zvaramba zvisi zvandataura kezvo. If dialogue fails, if debate fails, what's the next resolution?
I think hurumende yedu inotinzwa ende inotinzwisisa. I think vachanyatsopatarisa vagopanzwisisa vagogadzirisa.
Plus imwe nyaya ndeyekuti vhotera ma-MP ane muono unoenderana nevanhu. Noti zviri mune ma-MP 2/3, 63% of parliament vakanovhotera that bill. Mune 18 vakavhota against.
Vanhu vanenge vane muono wakasiyana. Andikona kuti izvozvizvi nandichitokuudza kutoti inini pamberi nayo, and actually ndichitori pamberi nayo patriotic bill.
But ndikuudza kuti
aiwa ndozomirira vamwe vachoka vamwe the 60 yonga moyo uri faya ne 18%. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us today. But I think next interview we're going to have Liam again back in the studio to bonzwisisa nyaya dzeconstitution. Iyo constitution pachezvayo kuti iriku yakanyorwa kunzi chii ichazotaura nezvei. So until next time, I say my likes, my love, my subscribes, my comments. Love you. Mwah.